Welcome to the In My Opinion Show with Ronald Barry Robinson and friends. We want to welcome our worldwide audience to our shows. We have wonderful talent. We have Mrs. Denise Smith Allen.
Hello, Ronald.
Hello. We have Mr. Henry Hatter.
Good evening, Ronald.
Welcome all to the In My Opinion Show. Let's talk about morality. Infidelity. Is sleeping with someone of the same sex considered cheating? Henry, let's start with you. What is your thoughts? Would you consider it cheating?
Ron, I don't even consider the question. That's difficult for me to even imagine. To tell you the truth, you ask a question, is that considered cheating?
Mm-hmm.
Cheating, who would be cheated?
That was the question.
Yeah, but there has to be a third party here.
Yes.
Who?
Maybe another person of the same sex?
Oh, okay.
Possibly.
Okay. Well, yes, I would consider that cheating then.
Why?
If there's three parties.
The more the
you only
merrier.
give loyalty. In this culture, Ron, we are still a culture where we give loyalty to only one partner.
Okay. Whether it be a male or a female.
Yeah, and in this case, normally that partner would be for me, and for you, that would be a woman. And sure, for Miss Allen, that would be a man.
Yes.
No, under normal
Yes.
circumstances.
Mm-hmm.
So, but when you imply two people of the same sex, you have to think outside the box to think about what you ask us to consider. In those cases, by the same standards, we would consider cheating with heterosexual relationships. I would say yes, by the same standards.
Okay. Miss Allen, what is your thoughts?
I believe that if you're in a monogamous relationship, either by way of marriage, man and woman, and I know there are some states that marry same sex, that's the key right there, monogamous relationship. That means that there's got to be a trust factor involved. Two people have committed to being with each other exclusively. So if one of them decides to not be faithful to that party, then I consider that a cheating relationship.
Okay. Should abortions be legal in all instances? I say if a woman wants an abortion, she should be able to have one. 435 members in the House of Representatives and 100 in Congress should not have the authority to challenge her free choice. America already has hundreds of thousands of unwanted kids. Denise, what is your thoughts?
Well, it depends on which side of the aisle you sit on that issue. There are some people who are believers in life and in exception. I may not be saying that right. But then there are those who believe that it is a woman's right to choose. I always look at extreme cases such as incest or rape. Those, in my mind, are without a doubt the exception. Those are the situations where women were not wanting to be in those situations to begin with. In some cases, they may even be minor women, children. So in that situation, again, I would say that they should certainly have an option as to whether they would want to keep that child or not. The other issue, of course, is unplanned, unwanted pregnancy. As you had stated earlier, there are countless children that are here that are involved in the foster care system adoption system here in America, not to mention all over the world, that are in, here because they weren't a planned pregnancy. So I think we have to do a better education thing with our young people to teach them about taking care of their bodies and making good decisions about whether they want to have children, and if they aren't going to have children, to be prepared to take care of them. But for those that are not, then there should be options available for them.
Okay. Henry, what are your thoughts?
I like Denise's response, but I'll take it a step further. Denise talked about planning to have a child. You have to have two people to plan, two people to make a decision. Therefore, if one or the other cannot make a single decision by him or herself as to whether that child should be aborted, it should be two. Men need to accept their responsibility. They're going to enter into a relationship with a woman for a child. It should be they accept responsibility for it. If they accept responsibility for it, they also accept responsibility for the child's demise. You just don't all of a sudden, because a woman says, well, I don't want that child anymore. Part of that living embryo and the mom's body belongs to the man. And contrary to what we believe about men, there are some men who love their children. Some men want their children. Some men worship that whole process of giving birth. So to all of a sudden in this generation, all of the debate that we have about life and death of embryos and children and so on and so forth, men have conceded their obligations, their responsibility, and they may have never had it in the begin with. Maybe they never wanted a relationship. Maybe they never wanted kids before. But there are some men who really wanted their children. And I believe that that decision should be based on decision of two. I don't know whether you have to take it to the Supreme Court of the United States to decide that. I think that moral law should help us to decide these kind of things, because it's our moral decisions that decide whether we want to have children or not. And in this case, I believe that whenever a mother has a child that threatens her life, or a pregnancy that threatens her life, that may be caused by an unexpected relationship with someone, I think that she can decide that on her own. But when you're engaged in a marriage, a good relationship, your husband should be helping you make that decision. The end.
But I understand what both of you are saying, and I understand that the sanctity of marriage, but so many single women are having children, all right? They're unwanted, okay? Yet, if we lived in an ideal world, two people should take responsibility, but we don't live in an ideal world, all right? Now, the guy doesn't want the kid, all right? The woman doesn't want the kid, but in many instances, she's forced to give birth to this child, all right? When you don't want something, why should you be made to have this child? I mean, I understand well, you shouldn't have this and you shouldn't have done that, all right? But the kid is here now, all right? Because what you should have did is irrelevant, all right? The baby is here. The man doesn't want it. The woman doesn't want it. She didn't want it before it got here, all right? So, and I understand incest and rape, understand all of that too, okay? There's tens of thousands of children waiting for adoption in America right now, okay? That nobody wants. Or at least it seems that way, because they wouldn't be there.
Right.
Okay? So, why force a woman to bring an unwanted child in here, knowing that probably that child is going to be abandoned or abused, all right, physically, mentally, sexually. We see this all too often.
Right.
Okay, like right here, not too long ago. Well, that's getting off the subject, but we see this all too often.
Right. But again, this is a moral dilemma, if you will. This is a major moral dilemma because we're talking about educating young people, particularly, who may engage in, premarital sex that they're not ready to deal with the consequence of a child being born. Okay? So now you have a pregnant teen, and that teen is faced with sitting down and talking with the young man, and the young man will say, first thing, perhaps, how do you know it's mine?
But not only a teen, but this is young adults and adults as well.
Absolutely. But I'm kind of starting at where a lot of it begins, and it's at the teenage stage. Okay, we have a lot of teen moms. Okay, so here you have that question that's posed: how do you know it's mine? So she's heartbroken, perhaps, and maybe she's not because it's mommy's baby, daddy's maybe. Okay.
Well, we'll see on the Maury show.
Right. Okay, and that kind of thing. So all of that, it plays itself out in terms of us being better at educating and helping people make good decisions about, the kinds of activities they engage in, including, getting into a sexual relationship, because we know that there are consequences outside of pregnancy. Certainly there are diseases, and some of them that will take you out of here. So there's a whole stream of things that have to be thought about and talked about. And it has to be an ongoing educational process. It has to be an ongoing discussion. Parents have to do certainly a better job of talking about these things with their children, and the schools and everyone else, churches, everyone has to take a role in helping them make decisions. But ultimately the decision will fall on the female who has found herself in that decision making process. What do I do? Now, if she chooses to go through and deal with the pregnancy, then she still has options, knowing that maybe there's a family member who will decide that they want to take that child in and adopt them or raise them. Then she can also look at agencies, but the bottom line is that's a decision that's really between her and if she's a believer and God. You know what I'm saying? That's really a decision that she has to make. And it would be ideal if she could sit down, as Hemi has mentioned, with her partner. But we know that, unfortunately, so much stuff is going on out here, and a lot of these young people, as well as adults, older adults, are engaging in some behavior, some very, very risky behavior that's going to cause them major problems down the road here. So I'm not here to pass judgment. I mean, me personally, I have my own, religious belief, but I'm saying that we have to look at the situation in its entirety and say that information, education is going to help people make better decisions about what's going to be best in that particular situation, and it's individual.
And especially with so much promiscuity, going on with the tabloids, television, movies. I can believe that people are having a hard time making these right decisions because you're bombarded with this every second. All right, whether it's a radio, whether it's TV, whether the walkout when you're in the supermarket, or the stores, the magazines and so forth. You had some thoughts.
Yeah, I think that we have to start with more definition to this question. Now, actually, it should be partitioned into two questions. One is there are people who are married, who are in ideal relationships, if you will.
But see, you still have married couple that don't want that have kids and don't want them.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Sure. But it still should be a two-person decision, and God deal with them. Should they both agree to kill the baby? But the other one is like you say, there are other people out there in unwed relationships and decide to go off on their own. Those kind of people, I don't know whether education is going to help them at all. Because I think we have to look at what value do you put on life. And society puts a large value on life. You can't go out and kill anybody you want to. Society says no. If you discharge a gun anywhere in the city and kill somebody, you're going to be handled. You may even go to the electric chair. You may be killed for it. So society does not willingly accept. They still have a value to life. And young people, and somehow we've got to reconcile that. Either life is important, of ultimate importance, or it's not of any importance. And when we move to the point where we abort kids constantly, that means life becomes less and less value, and we will self-destruct as human beings, as a species.
But isn't that kind of way what we're doing right now? You know, we're slowly self-destructing.
Well, we're self-destructing in this manner. You got to first of all have a value on life. That life is valuable. And then we never think about how valuable life is until somebody close to us is killed or dies. But I have 3 kids, all by one person, my wife. And I love all 3 dearly. You know what I mean? And so I cannot imagine going back and saying, get rid of the child. You know, it's just not within. I am a right to lifer.
But those are our individual choices, okay?
Yeah.
That's our humanity, all right? You
Do
know,
I
speaking
believe that
about
other
us
kids-
3, all right? At
Do I
least
believe
if I
that
can
all-
speak for you in that respect, all right? You know, having children and not aborting them and being loving and nurturing parents, okay? But, and I don't mean to speak for everybody, I can only speak for myself. But back to my original question, it shouldn't be up to the Congress to dictate what a woman should do with her body, whether they're a young adult or an adult. Okay, that still should be individual choice, and I think we may be in some ways on the same plane with this.
We may be, but Ron, again, we're speaking about what's going on here in America and in our society. But you think about in one of the Asian countries where they have mandated that the family only have 2 children, okay? And they have a law basically in place that if they have more than 2 children, that there are some repercussions, okay? And I would imagine part of that may be an abortion, okay? So, we're struggling in terms of trying to figure out what would be best. And until we figure it out, I mean, there's already the law, Roe versus Wade. I mean, it's law. And until that's been changed, I mean, the discussion, we can discuss all we want, but it's still, at this point, the woman's right to choose. And until that changes, then I really think that, we can have our thoughts on it and our perspective on it, and individual people in terms of their moral compass will be guided by that, okay? But until it's changed, it is what it is.
Okay. We're going
It
to...
is what it is.
It is what it is. We're going to go to a lighter note
But
here.
still, Denise.
Here we go.
That does clash with the idea that life is very important,
It is.
and society deems life important.
Yeah.
But those are the kind of situation that we got to deal with as we wrestle with what we do with Roe versus Wade.
Okay.
Should life be valuable? Should the life of Ron's kids and your kids be as valuable as mine? Of course they could.
Sure.
And if they deem something differently, that I have more right to life and offsprings than you do, then that'll be okay too. No, that wouldn't be okay. No.
Oh, okay. Well, we're going to go on to the lighter subject here.
Okay. Just into the In My Opinion message board. Counseling, Southern style. Earl and Bubba are quietly sitting in a boat fishing, chewing tobacco and drinking beer when Bubba says, "Think I'm gonna divorce my wife. She ain't spoke to me in over 2 months." Earl spits overboard, takes a long, slow sip of beer and says, "Better think it over. Women like that are hard to find." Yes, sometimes they don't need to, they don't need to talk for a couple months. Whether it's your wife or your husband.
Oh, see.
Huh? Right?
That's a whole nother discussion.
Okay. Assisted suicide. Dr. Jack Kevorkian should never have been sent to prison. It was a waste of taxpayer dollars. If a man or woman wants to take their life, and it's an informed decision by them to let them die. Doctors make these decisions every day. The Constitution guarantees you that much. Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Me personally, as I said, I don't have a problem. I did not ever have a problem with Dr. Jack Kevorkian. Okay? That's man's law that sent him to prison. All right? These people came to him to administer, for lack of a better word, death. Okay? If you want to die, so be it. Okay? Henry, what is your thoughts?
Well, Ron, I think you're half right. If a person wants to die of his own or her own volition, they should be able to die. If they don't want to live anymore, it is their choice. But I think for people who take prerogatives, exercise prerogatives to kill people because they think that they're on their last breath of life, that is against the law. And you must not kill for that purpose because the law is the law. That's what it is.
But he, from what I understand, it wasn't his prerogative. You know what I mean? He just assisted these people. Those people that wanted to die, that was their prerogative.
But he was given a restraining order not to practice that anymore.
Then we get back to man's law again.
Yeah.
These people that he assisted, okay, they were, from what I understand, they were terminal.
Yeah.
Okay? And I don't have a problem with that.
Okay.
But you see, Dr. Kevorkian's law is becoming, his aspirations are becoming more and more the reality of life today. That
He was ahead of his time.
Yeah, he was ahead of his time.
Yeah, I mean, we think about euthanasia, we think about animals that are put to sleep or put down, okay? And so this whole concept is evolving, and I believe in time, although he's probably the test case, I think that there will be a law enacted in the future that will allow for this to take place. But right now, he can't.
At least till he gets off parole,
Legally.
I
mean,
suppose.
he could do it while he's on parole. You know, he can exercise his prerogative.
Well, I think he's probably got a long tail on that 7-year bit. You know what I mean? Maybe 7 to 50 or something. All right, so I don't think he'll chance that. Especially he did 7 years, and those 7 years, all right, he had health problems. Okay, I would imagine. I don't know for sure, but I imagine it's up there. Okay, in the millions of dollars that the taxpayers had to pay, for his upkeep for those 7 years. Because the average is about $40,000 a year. That's if you're healthy. Okay, in the penitentiary. So if you got medical problems, it could be, the cost could be astronomical. Okay, so the benefit of locking him up for 7 years, it doesn't. In my mind, it doesn't. The economics does not add up. What is your thoughts, Mr. Hatter?
Well, Ron, I don't think that we should put so much emphasis on economics. This was a test case. It proved that the law is working. That it put him in jail to protect the integrity of the law.
It was a political situation.
Okay.
All right.
All right.
It was a political situation that sent him to prison.
But you can't violate the law. the law must prevail in all cases. And the law is there to make sure that others, and they did say he was sent to jail to make sure that others don't pursue the same thing and erode the value of the law.
Well, I guess at this time we must prevail too. At this time we must bring the In My Opinion show to a close, but first we want to thank everyone that makes these programs possible. We especially want to thank our viewers. To contact the In My Opinion show, please email inmyopinionrbr@att.net. Until next time, stay focused.